Okay. Oh man, where do you even start on this one? I've literally, it's been probably the moment I hit record. It's been almost an hour since the game actually ended. I've having trouble coming down with the stress, the emotions, all of it. Um, Vikings win. We'll start there. Vikings win 27-25 over the hated Green Bay Packers, and they have taken that one last step to where next week, probably right at this moment, I would assume it's going to be the flex game. They will be playing at Ford Field for the number one seed, and of course the NFC North title with that. Who would have ever dreamed we get this far? So about that stress. Didn't have to be stressful. It shouldn't have been stressful. But there's always that part of the game, even if we look like we're blowing the team out, where it's right. Oh, that's right. We got to be the Vikings still, and we have to make it interesting, or I would say even more than interesting. Because okay, go back to the first half. You know, we're basically controlling the game. Like we get a fumble on the first drive. Um, um, I think it was off of Jacobs. Um, we don't get anything out of that. Then we miss a field goal. Riker banged one off the crossbar from like 57. And they go get a field goal, but then we respond. We go get a touchdown. Really fantastic deep shot bomb from Darnold to Jalen Naylor, who had a big game, kind of a big game out of nowhere. Jalen Naylor was kind of a unexpected star early in the season when we were without Addison a little bit, and then he kind of disappeared for like 2 months and picked a great game to show back up. And then we tacked on a couple field goals. We had one at the half. We're up 10-3. We're moving. We're in field goal range. I thought it was the last play. I thought it was it. Riker kicks like a 55-yard field goal, misses it, and I left the room, and I didn't even know that there was an offsides penalty on Green Bay, and then I guess a timeout too. So Riker had a couple extra shots at it, ultimately, and ended up banging it home. So we were up 13-3 at the half, but we kind of left some points on the board. Obviously, the missed field goal earlier, and then there was a great deep shot early. That might have even been on the first drive, maybe the second drive, where Darnold hit Jordan Addison in the end zone on a deep shot, and tough catch. I understand, but you hoped he would have come down with the ball. We could have been up convincingly by halftime because we were really in control of the game. Like the defense was just. Jordan Love looked absolutely terrible, and I think in terms of like his like fundamentals, they're still not very good. But he can make a lot of big plays. But he wasn't making any big plays. He was really inaccurate. We were making him inaccurate because we were, they were getting some decent pressure, and we were really covering very, very well. And I think Love had like, what did they show? Like he had about 60 yards passing going into the fourth quarter, some crazy number like that. But we were really in control of this game the first half, even if it wasn't quite showing up on the scoreboard like you'd want it to. But then we get third quarter, we go down, get another touchdown. That was that terrific play where Darnold moved up in the pocket, kind of, and then fired like across to the other side of the field to Addison. Addison made kind of a diving catch in the end zone. Great, fantastic play, and that put us up 20-3. And it's like, we're rolling here. This is we're killing them. But then the game flipped. The game flipped. It didn't flip fully. Um, we get the ball back up 23. Darnold, who has been great. I'm still 100% on the sign him beyond this year train. Um, um, but we get the ball back, and he makes his first truly bad interception throw in weeks. Um, and I think it was on a first down too. It was like, and again, we got KOC. He was doing it again. He was not running the football when we got a lead, especially in the second half. Um, he's got Darnold throwing, which I understand. The way Darnold's playing, you want him to throw, but it's not always the smart call. You want to shorten the game at that point. But we kept throwing, and he threw a really bad pass. He only had one interception, I think, since that Jacksonville debacle, and that was just like on a fourth down. You got to throw it. But this was a bad throw, and it got returned, and it got fumbled. Jalen Naylor's big game almost was even bigger because he punched the ball out on the return of the interception, but the Packers still fell on it. And then they were really, I think they were already in the red zone, and they scored. So it's 20-10, just like that, and you're like, oh. But then we get maybe. I mean, we've had drives this season that have meant more. Obviously, like late drive against Seattle last week, late drive against Arizona. But this was, this didn't have the importance, but it was like we've seen it sometimes with Darnold this year, like early in the year when he was having more turnovers, when he might have an interception or two in a game or a fumble. But then he would bounce back, and this was like a really important bounce back drive moment, and we go right down the field, terrific drive, and he hits Cam Akers on a little swing pass, and he runs it in. Boom! Just like that, we're back up 27-10. So that's what I want to see. I want to see, I want to see those answers to if you have a mistake, respond and make up for it. And boy, did they make up for it. And at that point, it looked like, okay, this thing is settled. I'm just basking in the glow of an easy win over Green Bay that is setting up this team for something really, really big. And yeah, I'm going off into dreamland, dreaming of things that I dare not speak of that could occur in January or perhaps February. And I'm, and then we're driving again. We're in control. We're into the fourth quarter. And okay, we didn't get a touchdown, but here comes Reichert for another field goal, and he clanks one off the post. Still, then you don't necessarily think that it's like a turning point, because I think there was still like only about 9 minutes left, and you're up 17, and your defense has, for the most part, still been dominating. But what did we see back in week 4 in Lambeau? We're dominating them in that game, and then at some point in the second half, it's like a switch flipped, and we just stopped playing defense, and that happened again. We just stopped playing defense for pretty much the rest of the game. After the field goal, they go right down. They hit a couple. He finally hit a couple of big passes on us. They go right down the field and score. They get a 2, so it's 27-18. Then we go 3 and out. We get it could have been one of the legendary catches of Justin Jefferson's career. He on like a 3rd and long, he gets this one-handed catch over the middle. Would have been a first down, but they get Cam Robinson for a hold, and so we end up having to punt, and then they go right down the field again. Like we really had just, it's like whatever. I don't think it was a prevent defense. It didn't really look like a prevent defense, but maybe it was. And we let them zip down the field very quickly again. 27-25, just like that. Like, and now it's like, if we give the ball back again, they're going to kick a field goal and beat us with a, I mean, they didn't score that first touchdown until it was like about 6 minutes left. So we were up 17 points with about 6 minutes left. And we've struggled with this year, like that ridiculous Bears game where we had like a 99.9% win probability, and the thing got to overtime. Um, you know, we just insist kind of on making it hard on ourselves sometimes, but you know, and even the whole game, I'm like kind of like repressing, like, oh, I don't want to unleash the trash talk on Packers or anything like that. Like, because I remember that other game, and you know, it's so bizarre. It was the same thing, same margin of victory in the end. It's just very, very strange. Although in that one too, they never had the ball with a chance to go win the game. Because we get it with we get the ball, then after that it's 27-25, and there's a little over 2 minutes left. They got 3 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning. It's like, we got to get some first downs here, man. And first, really wonderful call in the first play, a little swing pass out to Ham, picks up a first down right away. Gets us in some better field position. And then it comes to a 3rd and 2 after the 2-minute warning. I believe they had 1 timeout left coming into that play. Little play action thing, and I don't have the ability to prove this, but I guarantee my heart stopped when that ball was in the air from Darnold to Cam Akers, because when it comes out, it looks like it's going to be. It looks like it's either going to be just it's either going to be off, or it's just not going to be catchable for Akers. But and you see on the replay, he basically scooped that ball off the turf, corralled it, just went into a little cocoon on the turf, first down, and ball game, victory formation. And I mean, it was what did that end up being, like a 5-yard play? A little 5-yard swing pass out to a second string running back who, again, wasn't even on the roster at the start of the season. But if this goes to the place we dare not speak, that's going to be one of those plays that you look back on as one of the plays that got you there. Because, in that situation, I think, they didn't have any timeouts left. It would have been like 4th and 2 with an incompletion, and where they were on the field. I mean, maybe you go for it. Maybe you take the chance. I don't know. But, you give the ball back there. I mean, the way the defense had gone south, like, there's no doubt in my mind that we would have been screwed, and that the Packers would have easily driven for a game-winning field goal. And if that happens, goodbye hopes for the division title, goodbye hopes for the 1 seed, and probably goodbye hopes for the 5 seed too, because we could have been jumped for the 5 seed. And still very much, it's still very much up in the air about who the 5 seed will play. I mean, it looks pretty, they got Falcons on right now and they're losing, so it's looking pretty likely that it's going to be Tampa Bay and the Rams winning those 2 other divisions. So, but I don't know how that's going to work for seeding. But back to this game. I mean, that was, it was just another. Again, as these games get, further along, like, this stopped being like a cute little story weeks ago. Like, this isn't a cute little story. This is a team that could win a Super Bowl. Like, they're not perfect, but I mean, if and I think Vikings fans probably understand this. If there ever is a Vikings team that wins the Super Bowl, they're gonna have to do it. We're gonna be put through hell on the way there. Like, lots of undue stress, games that shouldn't be close that are, you know, needing things like a little swing pass to a second string running back to get it done. Um, you know, but I mean, this, and again, because even the drive before the drive that clinched the game, Darnold makes that great throw to Jefferson with the one-handed catch that got wiped away. Like, Darnold is coming up big in the he plays his best in the big moments, just like last week against Seattle, just like at the end of the Arizona game, and just like a lot of these other games, during the season where there've been, we've like absolutely needed a drive to secure a win, like this one, like the one today. This was another one where we absolutely had to have this drive to secure the win, and it got done. Um, and Darnold, I think he had his most yards in a game this year. I think he had 370 something, and obviously 3 touchdowns. Um, um, Another just huge game for him. Um, and his play is ascending. He's getting better as this is going on. This isn't, you know, there were people who were still bringing up, comparing him to Case Keenum. This isn't even remotely close to Case Keenum. Case Keenum was never performing at the level that Sam Darnold is, and by this point in the season, Case Keenum's play was trending down. But it's not trending down with Darnold. It's trending up. He's doing better. Yeah, he threw an interception, but you know what? He hadn't thrown a real interception in weeks. It's almost impossible to not throw an interception once in a while, especially when you're so pass happy as we continue to be. I think what did he throw? I think he had over 40 attempts. We didn't run the ball much. I did, you know, but I mean, like I think the offensive line was very good in this game. I think that really helped with Darnold being, because Darnold, he does hold the ball too long sometimes, but I think that actually worked today because the offensive line was protecting pretty well. But I mean, pay him. I know this isn't a decision that has to be made until March or whatever, but I'm sorry, you got to keep this guy. I understand the plan, but look how close we're getting. If the Vikings win 4 more games, they're holding up the trophy, man. And like, I'm sorry, JJ McCarthy might be a nice quarterback, but but yeah, fantastic game from Darnold. And we didn't run the ball again. Like, again, KOC he's doing this a lot, and I continue to worry that it's going to bite us eventually. Especially when you have leads, big leads, multi-score leads in the second half, and you're not running the football. Now, I don't know what happened with Aaron Jones. He ran real good early, and then they just went away with him. But he didn't even play. I'm not sure he was even really out there for most of the second half. We were running Akers. We got Ty Chandler out there for a series. I don't know if he was hurt or if it was just a thing where they felt like we've got this lead. Let's try to save Jones for the future. But and obviously, like, Akers did fine. Like, he did break one real nice run, and obviously had a couple nice catches, including the one that iced the game. But yeah, I mean, I wish he would kind of stop abandoning the run so easily. But Jalen Naylor, huge game from Jalen Naylor, as I said. Like, I think he had 80 some yards. Obviously the big touchdown, but he had a couple other big catches. That'll be a huge weapon if he can kind of reemerge. It's kind of again, early in the year he was a real weapon, and he kind of disappeared. Like, I think there were probably games he didn't get a single catch. But he, if he comes back and starts really performing, that's going to make it all the better. Hawkinson had a couple big catches. They finally did one of those deep seam route shots to him at one point. It was great. Jefferson didn't have like a monster game statistically. He did draw another another pass interference. He's gotten to be probably one of the best in the league at doing that. Um, and Addison, the one that he dropped, it's not like a horrible drop, but I mean, then he made a great catch on the one that he did get, and you know, obviously the passing game was very effective because you know we got Darnold to almost 400 yards. Defense again, defense was great. Defense was great in that first half, and really the first three quarters. I mean, you know, like I'm not dismissing the Packers. I'm like Jordan Love was bad in this game, but I don't think Jordan Love is bad. I don't think the Packers are bad. I just think you know they're a step down from where we are and maybe the best teams are, but they're a good team. I mean, I'm not fuck the Packers, but I'm not saying they're a bad team. Um, and I didn't go into this game expecting the defense to shut anybody down. I picked this thing 34-31. I thought it would be even more. There would be even more going on. But I mean, the defense was just really, really, really stout, and they weren't getting a lot of sacks. They got a couple at points. I know Dallas Turner got another one. Gink got in there, got one, but there was, it wasn't like a lot of pressure, and he was getting away and stuff. But like, and again, we were forcing inaccurate throws. Now, was that entirely us forcing Jordan Love to be inaccurate, or was that just him being inaccurate? It's probably a bit of both. It always is, but he didn't look the part of like an elite quarterback at all in this game. And it's been one thing to kind of rattle some inferior quarterbacks this year, but to to do what we did on him, I think that's obviously very encouraging going into the playoffs, because you ain't gonna be playing any bad quarterbacks in the playoffs. And when it clicks, it's like the first game against Green Bay, it switched, and we were bad for like most of the second half. I mean, it got really ugly. I mean, they got did they get like 4 touchdown drives on us? This time they only got 2, but and it started much later. But so I don't know what it was, but yeah, it just all of a sudden the tackling got bad, and we stopped covering, and it just snowballed. Like, this can happen sometimes. I mean, the NFL is designed for teams to be able to make comebacks throwing the football. So I guess maybe that's just what happened. We did do a pretty good job on their run game. Josh Jacobs had been running all over everybody, but I think he only ended up with like 60-something yards, and I think he did get their first touchdown. But he also had that big fumble. So, but overall, I'm not going to say, oh, what's wrong with the defense. Like, they did. This isn't a defense. This isn't the 85 Bears. They're just not. They're not that level of defense. They're defense that you can obviously win with, especially when there don't seem to be that many dominating defenses out there this year. This just doesn't seem to be that kind of season. And I think when they get turnovers, and then what, they got the 16th straight game with a turnover. I believe they're the only. In fact, I'm pretty sure they're the only team in the league that's gotten a turnover every single week. You could certainly win with that. But yeah, and they did another celebration after the turnover early. Another one that I don't understand. Maybe I'm just old. Stuff these kids today. I'm a little worried about Will Reichert. Now, I mean, he missed the first two that he missed. I mean, before the penalty, were really long. But I mean, you're indoors, you got to hit those. And before his injury that gave us the Parker Romo era, he was basically money on every kick. I think it's more alarming that he missed that later one that would have put us up 30-10, because that was a shorter kick. So I don't know. I mean, the injury that he had, I think it was like a thigh injury, maybe, or a hip injury or something. Maybe that's cropping up again. I think we could go get Parker Romo again. I believe he's on someone's practice squad right now, so maybe we'll go. Because I mean, you're going into the playoffs, and we know our history. We don't want to have, you know, if we've got kicking issues, we might want to think about doing something. But you know, again, again, I'm off in dreamland now. I'm thinking of what we can do next, and I know it's like this is it now. This is it. It's the Motown showdown in Week 18 in Detroit. I'm sure it's going to be the flex game. By the time I do this, they might have already announced that it's going to be the flex game. Or maybe they're going to wait till officially after the game tomorrow, because Detroit plays at San Francisco, but that game means absolutely nothing to them now because even if they lose, they could beat us next week and still get the division and the 1 seed. Because I don't think the Eagles are still alive for the 1 seed. They won their division today, but you know, it's there, man. It's there. It's this you know, this was the biggest Vikings Packers game in probably about 9 years since that 2015 game that decided the division. This is going to be the biggest Vikings Lions game ever, and I don't think that's even remotely close to a stretch. I think this is the biggest Vikings Lions game ever, and we've been playing them since the start of the franchise, and this is the biggest game that we'll have ever played against the Detroit Lions. And like, so it's like as nerve-wracking as maybe the last couple games have been. It's only going to get more this way, and then after this we got playoffs, and those are not going to be easy. You know, again, if this is the team, and I get the vibes sometimes, like, you know, I was getting the vibes to say, like, this is the team, like, you know, maybe it's just hoping that it's the team, but it's like, this is the team, and if this is the team, they're not gonna storm through the playoffs and easily win. I mean, you know, like, it's going to be hard. It's probably going to be harder than they need it to be. You know, but again, it's such a difference winning next week versus not, because I mean, at least you're locked into the 5 seed, so you should, you know, your fallback, worst case scenario fallback position is you get probably the easiest game of the wild card teams. But you know, the Rams have, you know, looked okay, and Tampa's looked really good on offense lately, so those would not be easy games. It's such a difference. 3 road games versus 2 home games. You know, like, fine, I'll just fucking say it. The Vikings win next week, they are going to the Super Bowl. If they win next week, they are going to go to the Super Bowl. Because I'm sorry, I just, you know, why not? Why think anything else? Why jump off the thing now? You think I didn't have doubts that they might beat the Packers today? You think I didn't have PTSD about seeing the Vikings my whole life, and hell, even before I was born, blow it in big games? You know, blow it in important games when they have a chance to do something. Of course, I've seen it. Everybody's seen it. But I'm not, you know, what's the point of doing this? What's the point of following the damn team if you're not going to go all in on this sort of thing? I thought this team was going to be a nothing team this year. I thought we were an also ran, cursed before the season even began. We have a draft pick die. We lose our quarterback, you know, our rookie quarterback, who might have been our starter, you know, probably not, but might have started at some point. And then we're looking at, it's going to be, you know, maybe two of the best teams in the NFC are going to be Detroit and Green Bay, and we're just going to be looking up at them, wishing we could be them. Well, we are them. We are them right now, and we are going to Detroit next week with the chance to have the number 1 seed, which they have only had once in my lifetime. It's a huge part of why the Vikings have not been to a Super Bowl in so long. And you can win on the road, obviously, to get to a Super Bowl, you know, but we haven't had the repeated chances that some of these franchises have had. You know, it seems like we get about one crack about every decade or so. We haven't had a real shot at it since 17. Obviously, I thought maybe 2 years ago we could have had a shot if we had any sort of defense, but we have some defense now, and um, you know, we've got offense. On offense, we've got everything we need. I know we don't have Darisaw. He's been missed, and Cam Robinson has had some penalties, but he's filled in okay. Like on the offensive side of the ball, we've got everything that we need to do it right now. Defense, it's good, could be better. Obviously, needs to tighten up, but again, I don't think there's any teams in the NFC that we can't beat, especially if we're home. And again, I think that's such a huge part of why we haven't been to a Super Bowl in so long, is because you know, we don't get like the repeated year after year after year cracks at it, like some of these teams do. You know, um, I could come up with examples, but I mean, there's examples for everything. Um, you know, but it's such a big deal because we've had home field advantage one time in my lifetime, and that was '98, and we should have done it. Yes, we should have absolutely done it in '98. I'm aware, but you know that was our one chance. Like we hosted, like when the Vikings made Super Bowls, the original 4 Super Bowls, they were the home team in 3 of the 4 NFL or NFC championship games. And then they won at Dallas for the other one. That's a huge thing. Like if you can just be home, especially now with the format as it is now, you only have to win. You're the only team that only has to win 2 games to get there. We got one of the best home field advantages in football. Or were we 7-1 in home games this year? Only lost to Detroit, and hell, if we picked up 1 first down late in that game, we would have been 8-0, and we wouldn't even be talking about the 1 seed because we would have already clinched it. But that's how it goes. But we have a chance to and I think we're a better team right now, certainly, than we were then, and I don't think Detroit's as good now as they were then. Detroit's good. I'm not at all dismissing Detroit. The game tomorrow night doesn't mean anything, but Detroit could beat us next week. They absolutely could beat us next week. It wouldn't shock anybody if Detroit won the game next week. Injuries, whatever the injuries they got, they could still beat us. Like they could just outscore us. If we don't keep up with the scoring, then we're screwed. And I don't think anyone should expect us to go and shut down the Lions' offense. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to have to be a game next week that we're scoring in the mid to upper 30s. This is going to have to be, just like we kind of needed one of our best, if not our best game today, we're going to need our best game next week. But it's right there, man. I really do think and maybe. And look, we've been through it all. I've been through. I wasn't here for the 4 Super Bowls. I'm of the generation for where '98 and 2009 are the daggers, and obviously the disappointment of going Minneapolis Miracle to 38-7 in 2017 with the chance to host a Super Bowl. And obviously the Blair Walsh game and Daniel Jones lighting us up and all these other things that have happened. Like I've been through every heartbreak that has happened to this franchise since the late '80s. I've experienced it. They've all hit me. I'm wounded. I'm still not over 2009. I will never be over 2009 the way that went. But even that, we didn't have home field in that one. 2017, we didn't have home field. We were close, very close on those ones to getting home field. We didn't, 2009, they don't blow that fucking game in Chicago. They get home field. 2017, the Falcons had a 1st and goal to beat the Eagles in the first playoff game that year, and we would have hosted, the NFC Championship game that year. Home field isn't everything. Like you said, there are road teams that win every year, or just about. Road teams win all the time. But it would be so huge, such a huge advantage if we can get home field advantage. And I don't know who we would end up playing in the first game, but it's then the Packers and Lions, they can deal with going on the road in the first round to face some of these, you know, I mean, it would be, I guess it would be like Packers, Lions against Tampa and the Rams most likely. Hell, they could both lose that. I mean, maybe we play the Rams. I don't know who the hell we play, and then maybe we have to play the Eagles at some point. You know, I mean, you kind of line it up. It's like you want the revenge. This we want our Eagles revenge for this, and we want our Rams revenge for earlier. This is like, you know, but we're here. I would have. I never in a million fucking years would have thought coming into this season, and I'm the most drinking purple Kool-Aid every fucking day of my life, man. I never would have thought we would be to this point. We're 14-2, 9 straight wins for the first time since 1973, I think it is. They've never won this many games in a row. In my lifetime, 50 years, over 50 years since they last won this many games in a row. I mean, and I know it's like, well, okay, to win a Super Bowl, then you're gonna have to win probably 13 in a row. Well, you know what? We've been screwed over by the football gods forever. Maybe for 4 more games, the football gods can just leave us the hell alone and let us go do this thing that we've never done. That would mean more to this. That would mean more to this goddamn fan base than any in sports. And I'm not kidding. I think this is like the Cubs fucking winning it. The Red Sox breaking through. Like, it would mean that much. It would mean that much to get there. And I swear to God, if we can just go to fucking Detroit and beat the Lions, it's gonna open up like it's never opened up. And it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something else next week. Oh man. And look, it's gonna be an enormous letdown if they don't go to Detroit and win. But I'm not gonna give up then either, because I think they can do something on the road. I don't know if they can win 3 road playoff games. I mean, that's just, it's only happened a few times ever. But oh man, it's again, it's no longer the cute story. This team can do it. They have to be considered one of the favorites to do it. And if you get home field, you absolutely have to be considered a favorite. And it would be one of the great stories in the history of the NFL, if not sports entirely, if this was the season and this was the team. And maybe I'm getting way too ahead of myself, and holy fucking shit, I'm going for almost 40 minutes. I hope anyone who watches this is watching it on an increased speed, because no one needs to listen to me for 40 minutes. So, anyway. I'm going to be an emotional wreck. I swear to God, man. I swear to God, when that ball was in the air to Cam Akers on that 3rd down, my heart stopped. I and it's only going to get more stressful. I'm going to be a nervous wreck going into next week. I assume it's the flex game. Maybe by the time this is posted, that'll be official. But it's going to be unbelievable. And then even if we get through that, then we got playoff games after that are going to be stressful, because guess what? Them's the Vikings. They're never going to let us get. If we ever get this, we're not going to get it without losing some years off our life. But you know what? If I'll take those years and chuck them if I can get my team a championship. So, all right. God damn it, 40-minute video? What the hell am I doing talking for 40 minutes? Well, anyway. Hey, Merry Christmas, Vikings fans. It's still the holiday season. Happy New Year. Maybe we're going to finish this year out for the last time without a title. Maybe 2025 will be the year we've all waited for. But so that'll do it for that'll do it for this video. Vikings win 27-25 in a spine tingler, and we swept the Packers for the first time since 2017. That was nice. Always nice to sweep the Packers. Packers went 0-4 against the Lions and the Vikings, so I know they're hurting, and you know, I'm more about relishing in the Vikings' victory more than laughing at the Packers. But I certainly laugh at the Packers some as well. So anyway, all right, that's it. I'm reaching towards the stop button, and so next week the Motown showdown for the NFC North title and the number 1 seed. Get ready.